When you think of a samurai, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Is it a lone warrior standing in the rain? Is it a katana slicing through a falling leaf? Or maybe it's Darth Vader. Did you know his iconic helmet was actually inspired by real samurai armor? Most of us think of samurai as these legendary, almost supernatural superheroes, and in a way they were. But here's the thing. The real history of the samurai is way more interesting, and a lot weirder than anything you've seen in a movie. They weren't just guys with swords. They were the influencers, the politicians, the poets, and the ultimate elite of Japan for nearly 700 years. Today, we're peeling back the mask. We're going to find out how a group of bodyguards became the most powerful class in Japan. Why they're To understand the samurai, we have to go back to the year 700. At first, there were no samurai. There was an emperor, but he was more like a celebrity than a ruler. He lived in a palace, wrote poetry, and stayed far away from the dirty work of running a country. But Japan was a wild place back then. Landowners needed protection from bandits and rival neighbors, so they started hiring private guards. Think of these early samurai like a private security firm. They weren't noble warriors yet. They were just the neighborhood watch with bows and arrows. Over time, these guards got really good at their jobs. So good, in fact, that they eventually realized, wait, why are we taking orders from people who don't even know how to fight? By the 12th century, the warriors officially took over. They created a new position called the shogun. Think of the shogun as the CEO of Japan, while the emperor was more like the chairman of the board, who has a fancy title but doesn't actually make the daily decisions. For the next several centuries, the samurai weren't just the army. They were the government. But what kept these powerful warriors from just becoming bullies? That's where Bushido comes in. You've probably heard of it. The way of the warrior. Think of Bushido as a strict code of conduct, or a user manual for your soul. It wasn't just about fighting. It was about how you ate, how you talked, and even how you thought. It was based on 7 core virtues. But let's look at the big 3. First, there was integrity. A samurai had to be honest, even if it cost them their life. If you gave your word, it was considered more binding than a modern signed contract. Second was courage. This wasn't just not being afraid. It was about doing the right thing, even when you were absolutely terrified. And third, the big one, loyalty. A samurai's life belonged to his lord. If the lord said jump, the samurai didn't ask how high. He asked, where should I land? To put that into a relatable comparison, imagine if your boss at work had the legal right to ask you to quit, not just your job, but your life, if you messed up a project. That's the level of commitment we're talking about. This is where the famous ritual suicide, seppuku, comes in. It sounds extreme to us today, but for a samurai, your brand or your honor was more important than your next breath. Now, we can't talk about samurai without talking about the katana. People often call it the soul of the samurai, and that wasn't just a metaphor. If a commoner even stepped on a samurai's shadow or accidentally touched his sword, the samurai was legally allowed to use it right then and there. The katana is essentially the Ferrari of weapons. It was made by folding steel thousands of times to make it both flexible and incredibly sharp. There's a legend that if you held a master-crafted blade in a stream, a piece of paper floating down the water would be sliced in perfect halves just by touching the edge. And their armor? It was a masterpiece of engineering. Unlike European knights who wore heavy tin cans made of solid metal plates, samurai armor was made of thousands of tiny scales of iron and leather, held together by colorful silk cords. It was like a bulletproof vest made of high-tech puzzles. It allowed them to move fast, climb mountains, and even swim, all while being protected from arrows and blades. So what happened? Why don't we see samurai walking around Tokyo today? In the mid-1800s, the world came knocking. Ships from America and Europe arrived with steam engines, and more importantly, modern guns. Japan realized it had to modernize instantly or be conquered. In 1868, the samurai class was officially abolished. The government told them, You can't carry your swords anymore. You have to cut off your top-knot hairstyles. You're just regular citizens now. Imagine being a professional athlete your whole life, and suddenly, the sport you play is banned. Some samurai became successful businessmen, some became politicians, and some fought one last, hopeless battle to keep their way of life alive. The samurai are gone, but they aren't truly gone. Their influence is everywhere. You see it in the way Japanese businesses value long-term loyalty, and you see it in the hero's journey of your favorite movies and video games. They taught the world that how you live and the values you hold is just as important as how you fight. So the next time you see a katana on screen, remember, it wasn't just about the blade, it was about the person holding it. Which part of the samurai code do you think is most important in today's world? Loyalty? Integrity? Let me know what you think. And if you enjoyed this trip through history, make sure to follow along for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. Thanks for watching, and stay legendary.